This is why I love reading, but oh my gosh, that just punched me in the chest. First of all, good morning. Welcome to a brand new vlog. I didn't want to start off the vlog by crying, but we're having a bookish week in my life. We're gonna just mood read together, so this vlog is gonna be nothing but chill book stuff. I actually started a new book like 2 nights ago. We're gonna talk a little bit about the book. I didn't read too much of the preface, but I feel like it all kind of hits home. The book is called The Last Letter, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's by Rebecca Yarros. I've heard amazing things about her writing. I wanted to give it a try, and all I've heard about Rebecca Yarros is she writes a lot of fantasy books. This one is not a fantasy book. I'm gonna read you guys a little bit about what it's about. I went into it kind of blind. Basically, it's about this girl is writing letters to her brother and one of her brother's friends that's on deployment. If you guys are new, my husband was in the military. He was in the army. And if you're not new, then you already know all of this. We're gonna read the synopsis so that I can tell you guys so I don't share anything. It starts by saying, Beckett, if you're reading this, well, you know the last letter drill. You made it, I did it. Get off the guilt train, because I know if there was any chance you could have saved me, you would have. I need one thing from you. Get out of the army and get to Telluride. My little sister Ella's raising the twins alone. She's too independent and won't accept help easily. But she has lost our grandmother, our parents, and now me. It's too much for anyone to endure, and it's not fair. And here's the kicker. There's something else you don't know that's tearing her family apart. She's gonna need help. So if I'm gone, this means I can't be there for Ella. I can't help them through this, but you can. So I'm begging you, as my best friend, go take care of my sister, my family. Please don't make her go through it alone. Ryan. There were 2 friends who were deployed together, and Ella's brother, she's our FMC, our female main character. Her brother asked her if that there was a guy on deployment that doesn't really have a lot of people in his life, so if she could also write letters to him, just kind of to be a pen pal and be encouraging. Ella and his pen pal name is Chaos. Chaos have been writing letters to each other, and there are like dark themes in there, and I didn't know obviously that this was gonna be one of the themes of the book. I was not expecting the book so far to take that turn, and I'm not that far into the book either. I am 9% into the book. I'm 38 pages in, and I am a little bit invested, so we'll see how this book goes. I don't want to spoil too much, so I'm just gonna kind of tell you about my feelings on what's going on. Literally, I was like sitting here about to cry, and I think it's just because obviously my husband was in the military, so like having that background knowledge of like what they're talking about, most people probably wouldn't have this type of reaction to this book, unless people do, and I could be wrong. Ooh, this is going to destroy me. I just have a feeling that this book is gonna tear me apart. Like, I already feel it in my soul, and we'll see how it is, but just like the first beginning of this book is doing a number on me. so long about the book we're reading. I am currently 53% through on page 226, which is kind of crazy because now I'm just realizing that this book is 400 pages, but I've been enjoying it so far. Honestly, I felt like I've been with these characters for so long. The way that Rebecca Yarros wrote this book, it's so easy for me to like just jump into the world, and I feel like the way she wrote everything, I really have a good picture in my head of how it is. So we're gonna keep reading. Obviously, Griffin's here hanging out with me. He's an eye boogie. Hey friends, we haven't updated on the book yet, the last letter. I've been reading this book a lot, especially at night. Let's see how far along we are. I am currently on 69%, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on what I'm thinking about the book. I'm enjoying it. I'm definitely not bored. I feel like the scenery of this book is like making me really interested to see where it goes. I don't know how much more can be in this book. Obviously, we do have some issues in this book that are like family related issues that are going on, and obviously Ella, I feel like this entire book, she has a lot of abandonment issues. If you've read this book or you read the synopsis, everybody in her life has passed basically. So there's a lot of hurt there, and there's a lot of having to deal with her emotions. Being okay with the thought of somebody leaving, or having a really hard time feeling like she's going to be abandoned by the people that love her. So right now, I don't really know how this book is gonna end because we still have 30% of the book, and I feel like we've tied everything really well. I'm in a part of a book where things can either go really bad or really good, and I feel like the book has done a really good job of keeping me interested. Especially, I picture this book in like a Colorado cottage or like a cabin, because in this book she owns cabins. So I feel like this is a very interesting and also just scenic setting for my brain, because I've actually been wanting to go to some cabins and I want to go visit Colorado. So I feel like this is the perfect book to get me in the mood for that. I'm gonna continue reading and we'll see what I rate this book. I'm having a good time. I will say that. It's not like this isn't a book, at least at this part. There was parts where I was like, I was eating it up. It was going very, very fast. Considering I've been reading this book only for a week, normally around this point of a book, I get very bored. But I feel like they're doing really good to keep the storyline going. Okay, we got to a part of the book where some conflict is happening. So I know that I said a little while ago, I don't know where the book is gonna go from here, because I feel like it was pretty like cut and dry, like how things were going. But there was a part of the book about 70% through where I knew that it was for sure about to be like a head, since there were a couple secrets that our main male character had. So I feel like now that's all being talked about. I'm trying not to ruin anything, and especially since I'm not used to talking about books and not ruining them, I'm trying my best here. But So it kind of just came out what we've been talking about the whole book. So let's see how it gets brought together. Okay, friends, let's talk about it. I finally finished The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros. This was a really good book. I will say this is a very long book. If you're looking for a rom-com, this was a rom-com, but it was so much deeper than that. I would look up trigger warnings before you read this book. It has a lot to do with loss and death and how to deal with grief, trusting people when you feel like you can't trust anybody, counting on people when bad situations are happening in your life. Obviously, the main character of this book was a soldier and he was in a special forces unit, so there are things that come along with like deployment. Overall, I would give this book, I want to say a 4.5. I don't think it was completely a 5-star, but I did cry at the end of this book. The things that happen and learning to forgive people and having grace for people is a lot. So I would say this book was really good. I was not really expecting the ending, which is a good thing because I feel like it really drove a lot of the story. I finished it last night and literally like tears were coming down my face. I was like, oh, okay. So it was really good. And it did take me a little while to read it. I think it took me a week, but also considering like it was a pretty long book and I had a lot going on last week, I feel like a week really isn't that bad, but I do want to get to other books so that I can read them faster. Obviously, we're going to post it on the book highlight. I also think if you don't follow me on Instagram, then you wouldn't know, but I post pretty consistently on my Insta stories. At least I'm trying to be a little bit more consistent, but I have a whole book highlight. So if you ever have any questions on certain books that I've read, I try to put everything on my book highlight so that everything is accessible and you know what books I read and when I read them. Perfect. Now we need to choose what we're gonna read next. Now that I can put that we actually finished and read the book. You guys will have to let me know, but especially when I read at night, I always have my brightness really low, like at a 6. And my warmth is always really, really high, especially when I'm going to bed. So now that it's daytime, we can put the warmth back to normal so it's cool toned again. There's so many options. Also, if you have been wanting to get into Abby Jimenez books, I read Just for the Summer this past summer, and guys, this book is so good. I honestly think I've never reread a book, but I'm this close. I think I'm gonna download it. Abby Jimenez, Just for the Summer. If you love reading, just trust me. I think I rated it a 4.7 or a 4.8. Read the book. I'm gonna download it again. It is a romance book, but I'm telling you guys, I think about this book a lot. I think I want a thriller. This one's called The Last Flight, and I think this is a thriller, but I'm not sure. I finished Snowed In, but I didn't like it. Like, I finished it, but it wasn't my favorite book. This is what it looks like. This is from Catherine Walsh. It just wasn't what I was looking for. I would rate this 3. It just wasn't what I needed at the time. We're gonna do what I normally do when I don't know what book to read next. I've heard some good things about The Boyfriend by, I think it's Frida McFadden, and I've actually never read any of Frida McFadden's books, so we are gonna go on TikTok because that's how I normally get my best book recommendations. Let's see what people are rating it.
By Frida McFadden in like 24 hours, so we obviously have to talk about it. I just finished reading The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden, and I have some thoughts.
A lot of people are rating it either really good or really bad. I'm a vibe reader, so as long as the vibe is there, I'm just there for a silly girly time. So I feel like this would be a good thriller to read. I just wanted something different. I've been reading a lot of romance and stuff, and sometimes my brain just needs a break from that type of book. And I love a thriller. I love a mystery. So if you guys have any other recommendations for that, I think we're gonna start that book. And also soon, I wanna rearrange this, even though she is so cutie. I think I want to add some different stickers in here. Since I am more of a mood reader, I'm not like a competitive reader, and sometimes I don't feel like reading, so I never try to force myself, because when I force myself to read is when I have noticed that I get into book slumps. You guys will have to let me know any other books that you feel have taken you out of book slumps. I have a couple, and maybe we'll talk about them at the end of this video. And some of them are more like geared towards the season, so that's the difficult part, is since it's winter right now, I've been in a little bit of a slump, because normally the books that I tend to gravitate towards are based in the summer. We're gonna talk about The Last Letter. I feel like I didn't get to talk a lot about this because I was mainly reading. I would search up trigger warnings. There is themes of illness, childhood illness, and I would look into that and some of the trigger warnings. There really wasn't that many. I fell in love with the atmosphere in this book. I feel like, I don't know, how Rebecca Yarros really talked about the atmosphere and about the cabins. It made me feel like I was there. It felt like very small town Colorado, and I don't even know where Telluride is. Actually, we should look into it. Oh, okay, it's in Colorado. Okay, I was gonna say, because it feels like Colorado, like the whole scene feels like that. I loved Beckett's relationship with the kids. It honestly made my heart melt. Keep in mind, this is a woman. She had 2 kids at a very young age. I think she got pregnant at 19, and she got married very young as well and divorced. So she just had a lot of trust issues and trauma and things of that sort. And of course, in a story where you've lost your parents, your grandparents, like the people that are supposed to be there for you, and then you lose your brother, it's so hard. And I just feel like I understood a lot of her issue with like getting close to people, but also I feel like Beckett did such an amazing job at trying to reassure her and honestly just being there for the kids, because obviously he was there because Ryan asked him to go watch over her and the kids, and just watching their journey getting to a place where she really trusted him. Obviously there's a lot of underlying things, but overall, I loved how protective he was of the kids, and also giving her space to make sure that she was comfortable enough to let him be with the kids. And watching their relationship progress just made me super happy. I liked the book overall. What did I end up giving it? Let's see. I can't even remember. I've been so like into The Boyfriend that I forgot. Okay, yeah, I gave it a 4.5. I would definitely say that if you have a hard time with grief or death, just keep that in mind. I do think that this was a really, really good book, especially if you're looking for a romance but doesn't feel like a run-of-the-mill one. I would go into this, and it is hard because there are very heavy topics in here of grief and feeling like you're enough and things of that sort. But overall, I gave it a 4.5, and I think it was a really great book. Especially since this is my first introduction into Rebecca Yarros. I have not read any of her fantasy books yet, but honestly, I might after this, but I wanted something a little bit just grittier, so we're moving on to The Boyfriend. But I'm very, very, very happy that I ended up picking it up. I didn't really go into it knowing a lot. I think I went into this one blind, so I'm glad that I went into it blind. And if you want to go into it blind, I gave enough without giving too much of the plot of the book. Let me update you on The Boyfriend. I decided I wanted to read this. I don't know if we've talked too much about it. I am currently 13% into the book. And so far, I am feeling like this is starting off weird because we have all of these different people. Like we have Tom, who is a teenage boy, and he's talking about his experience having a crush on this girl. And then we also have what I'm assuming is our female main character, and she is going on dates. I don't know a lot about this book. I feel very confused, which I think is like the whole point. I have not read a whole bunch of Frida McFadden books. I just never got into her books. So we're reading The Boyfriend, and that is the read. I think I mentioned this, but I have a book club coming up on Thursday, so I wanted something fun to read. And so far it's keeping me hooked. I think it's 370-ish pages, so I'll keep you updated on what I'm thinking about this, but we're making a little bit of headway. Sorry for the super moody lighting, but I am calm. I got out of the shower. I have my hair in a wrap and my salt lamp on, so we are gonna read. I like reading with my salt lamp on because the red light kind of just calms me and slowly makes me fall asleep. I am on 13% on chapter 7. Good morning, friends. I fell asleep so good last night, and now I'm up, and I did a little bit of reading this morning. I woke up at like 4 a.m. because I couldn't sleep, so I decided to read a little bit of my book. We are currently 27%. Actually, I was like, should we read the synopsis? I don't think we read the synopsis together. I went into this book kind of blind. This is a description. She's looking for the perfect man. He's looking for the perfect victim. Sydney Shaw, like every single woman in New York, has terrible luck with dating. She's seen it all. Men who lie on their dating profile, men who stick her with the dinner bill, and worst of all, men who can't shut up about their mothers. But finally, she hits the jackpot. Her new boyfriend is utterly perfect. He's charming, handsome, and works as a doctor at a local hospital. Sydney is swept off her feet. Then the brutal murder of a young woman, the latest is a string of deaths across the coast, confounds police. The primary suspect, a mystery man who dates his victims before he kills them. Sydney should feel safe. After all, she is dating a guy of her dreams, but she can't shake her own suspicions that the perfect man may not be as perfect as he seems, because someone is watching her every move, and if she doesn't get the truth, she'll be the killer's next victim. A dark story about obsession and the things we'll do for love. #1 New York Times bestseller Frida McFadden proves that crimes of passion are often the bloodiest. I am following our main character right now, and I'm at a kind of a hard to explain part of the book. I'm trying not to give too many spoilers, but somebody just died. I'm not that far into the book, and I don't want to give too much information just because I feel a lot of people have said going into this book blind is the best, so we're gonna continue reading. Y'all, I'm sitting here reading, and let me just say this. But if Randy is Slug, if Randy is Slug, that's all I'm saying. I'm 69% in. Okay, I have a feeling I know where this is going, and if I do know where this is going, then I feel like this was like okay. I'm 86% in, and this is my prediction. And if you don't want any spoilers, go to this part. But I have a very strong feeling that Slug is actually Randy, which I've already known for a while. I think I've known that since like 60% through. I've just had this feeling. I don't know how that is gonna affect everything else yet, but I'm on chapter 59. I had an inkling. I'm not gonna say what it is, but I am, let's see. I'm 89% through. And I'm on page 327. And I had a feeling this could have also been like basically what was going on, so we'll see. I didn't have a lot of proof that maybe this could happen, but there was like a little tiny little inkling. I feel like this revelation didn't like shock me all that much because I had like the tiniest little inkling, but let's keep reading. Okay, let's chat real quick about The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. I will say, I felt like I thought I knew where it was going. The ending did surprise me, but I feel like once I found out that a specific person was behind the whole thing, I feel like to me it made a lot of sense. And I don't know, I felt like I was like, oh, okay, like I understand now. But the very end, like the epilogue of this book, that had my jaw on the ground. I would give this book, I think, because it wasn't my all-time favorite thriller. I feel like that still has to go to Rock, Paper, Scissors, but this was good. I want to give it a 4 because it wasn't a 5-star. I feel like it didn't surprise me as much as other thrillers have surprised me. So this is a solid 4. I feel like it was good, especially I read this, I think, in 2 days, 3 days. So this was really, really surprising for me. I'm happy with it. I'm happy I read it. I would say just go straight into this book. Don't really look for many opinions about it. Just go straight into it and hopefully you like it. I feel like Tom, can we just talk about Tom? Okay. I was just irritated. I was very irritated, but I understand why it needed to progress the way that it did. And I'm happy with how it ended. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with me and being a part of my internet family. I know I have a lot of new viewers. I don't typically do a lot of bookish videos. This is like newer to me just because everybody seemed to really like it the last time that I did bookish things. So you guys will have to let me know in the comments if you really like these videos, because it would mean the world to me just to have feedback. But I love you so much. If you're new, I hope you stick around and join my internet family. And if you're not new, thank you for always coming back and being a part of the family. And honestly, I just love you from the bottom of my heart. I will see you super soon in the next vlog.